Okay, first graders, it's math time. I understand that you're just starting to get into chapter 12, where you're talking about two-dimensional geometry. Now, your previous lesson was all about three-dimensional shapes. And the thing that distinguishes between two-dimensional and three-dimensional, a two-dimensional shape has length and height. Three-dimensional has length, height, and width. Each one of those represents a dimension. So length and height, sheet of paper. Just a good old-fashioned sheet of paper. It has length and it has height. It doesn't have any depth, so it's two-dimensional. We have length and we have height. Now, three-dimensional, as you learned in the previous lesson, we'll take the same shape and we'll make it three-dimensional because we're going to add width to it. And that width is what gives it the third dimension. Turns it into a box. Now, in two-dimensional geometry, we're talking about shapes that have two dimensions. And so the first thing you have to master before you can even begin to understand this, and it's not hard, really. These are shapes that you learned about way back in preschool. But let's just go over to page 670 and look at the vocabulary, because you got to know this. Spend some time understanding the definitions of what these words mean, because you're going to see them all through the chapter. If you don't know what the word means, you're just going to be lost. The first one is a circle. Well, we all know what a circle is. It's a circle. That was easy. The next one is equal parts. Equal parts means if I drew a line right through the middle of this circle, this part would be equal to this part. They would be exactly the same. You could do the same thing with a square. Split it in half. You could even split it again, and each part would be equal. They are the same. Equal parts. You remember the definition of equal means something that is the same. Well, and we just had the next one up there. A fourth of. If you have a box divided into fourths, this is 1/4 of the box, and this is 1/4 of the box, this is 1/4, and this is 1/4. Each one is a fourth. That makes sense, don't it? The next word is force. So each one of those is 1/4. The box is divided into 4 parts, or fourths. You have a piece of candy and you want to share it with 4 people, you break it into 4 equal parts. The next vocabulary word is half of. Like we drew originally, half of something, you split it exactly in half. And it doesn't have to be split in half that way. It can be split in half that way. It can also be split in half that way. The only thing that's important is each side, each half is exactly the same as the other side. And if you split something into halves, you're splitting it into two parts. I've got a candy bar, and I want to share it with my sister. I split it in halves. I cut it in two. The next word is hexagon. A hexagon is a geometric shape. And a hexagon is a shape that has 6 sides. You understand? A hexagon, 6 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This shape is a hexagon. The next vocabulary term there is a quarter of. A quarter of is exactly the same as a fourth of. 1/4 is 1/4 of $1. See how that works? It takes 4 quarters to make $1. 1/4 of the dollar would be 1/4. And again, the vocabulary word quarters is just splitting something into 4 equal parts. The next vocabulary word there is rectangle. And a rectangle is a shape where it has 2 sets of parallel sides. Parallel means the lines never touch. These lines could continue on forever in either direction. They would never touch. They're parallel. And a rectangle, its sides are all parallel. They don't have to be the same dimension. This side has a greater length than this side. That's what distinguishes it as a rectangle. Because if the sides were all equal, if all 4 sides were exactly the same, that's a square. In a square, all 4 sides have exactly the same measurement. And that's why it's called a square. It's why it's different than a rectangle. Now, the next vocabulary word is a trapezoid. Are you ready for that one? Now listen, you really got to know what these words mean. A trapezoid is a shape that has one set of sides that are parallel and one set of sides that are not. These 2 sides are not parallel. They go in opposite directions. But these 2 sides are parallel. That's why it's called a trapezoid. That's why it's different than a rectangle. The next vocabulary word is unequal parts. And unequal parts just simply means that the shape is divided, but this part is larger, this part is smaller. They are not equal, thus unequal means not equal. Vertex. There's a word, you got to know what it means. Vertex is every place on a shape where the two lines come together. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 vertexes in a hexagon. There are 4 in a rectangle, 4 in a square. How many vertexes in a triangle? 3. Where the lines come together, where they touch. That is called the vertex. It's the point in any angle where the lines touch. That's the vertex. Well, that's it. Those are your vocabulary words. So, what are some of the shapes again? We've got the square, when the sides are not equal but parallel. We've got the rectangle. A 6-sided shape is called a hexagon. A shape that has 2 lines that are sides that are parallel and 2 that are not are called a trapezoid. And we'll just throw in a triangle for fun. It has 3 sides, thus tri. Tri means 3. 3-sided shape. Notice they are all flat. They are not 3-dimensional. That's what it means to be 2-dimensional. They all have lengths and heights, but they don't have depth. So there's no width. If I was to add width to it, for example, if I added width to this, what I would end up with is a pyramid. And a pyramid is a 3-dimensional shape. If I was to take a triangle and give it width, the triangle turns into a cone. Just like a rectangle can turn into a cylinder. You see, they have 3 dimensions. We're not talking about 3-dimensional geometric shapes right now. We're talking about just flat. Good old flat, 2-dimensional, a length and a height. It has a length and it has a height. That's all there is to it. And I'll just bet y'all can figure that out. So, on page 673 and 672, there's a whole bunch of shapes. And it's asking you to sort them out. Some of them are curved, some of them are not. Some only have 3 vertices, some have 4 sides. Some have the same length, some don't. 674, the same thing. Sort into shapes. And the shapes that I see there are circles, triangles, squares, rectangles. Oh, Well, there's an interesting shape for you. There's a pentagon. A pentagon has 5 sides. And they're equal in length. 5 sides. Pentagon. Five sides. There's one other shape here that I'm seeing in the exercise. It's shaped like this. Where all 4 sides are the same length, but it's not a square. See, what makes a square is each one of the corners is 90 degrees. It's a right angle. These are not right angles. But the sides are all the same length. And isn't that what the rule of a square is? 4 sides that are all the same length? Well, it also has to be 90-degree corners. Otherwise, it's called a rhombus. A rhombus is like a square that's turned cockeyed. The angles in this particular case are not 90 degrees. That is how you determine that it's a rhombus. You can also have a shape like that, where the sides are longer, and that's called a diamond. But it's still, if the sides are equal in length, it's a rhombus. So, I didn't see those in your vocabulary list, and I'm kind of curious that they threw them into the lesson here as far as sorting out the shapes. But I'm going to go ahead and teach you those vocabulary words just the same, just to make sure that you understand that a square, that if it doesn't have 90-degree angles in the corners, each one of these is 90 degrees. That's not true in a rhombus. A rhombus, in this particular case, 2 of them are less than 90 degrees, 2 of them are more than 90 degrees. You'll learn more about degrees, I'm sure, somewhere along the way here. Anyhow, that's to help you a little bit with two-dimensional. Two-dimensional, the key is it's a flat item. Flat. It doesn't have width. It has length and height, but it doesn't have any depth or width to it. This box is three-dimensional. Now, if it was just the front of this box, if it was just this shape, flat, that would be a rectangle. But, you see, when you add width to it, you have your length, you have your height, and then you have the width. And that is what makes it three-dimensional. This is just flat. It has no width. Well, it does, but it's so small you can't hardly know it. It's just pretty much a flat object. Two-dimensional, length and height. Got it? All right, look through the whole chapter. You know, if you just get stuck on one chapter, Sometimes if you look in the next chapter, the light goes on. Oh, I get it now. So look through the whole chapter. Don't lock yourself in on just one page there. You'll figure it out. Anyhow, first graders, good talking to you. I hope you have a better understanding now of two-dimensional shapes in geometry. Geometry, by the way, is fun. It's all about shapes. And trust me, we're all about shapes. We want cool, interesting shapes in our lives, right? All right. You guys take care. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay out of trouble, and be kind to each other. Have a good rest of the day.